Salutations, friends. It's your pal, said Stevie. Having a heck of a time out here today. It's really windy, so my apologies if the camera starts bouncing around and all that, but I record outside because that's how I like to do it, and, it is what it is. But anywho, today I am going to be giving you folks my thoughts and opinions and ramblings on something from Blessed Knives. That's right. I've been talking about it and showing it off here and there over the last couple weeks, and ready to do my video on it so I can send it along to the next person. Before I do so, going to go ahead and wet my whistle, drinking some coffee, and I'm sure most of you already know how I prefer my coffee. Cheers. Drinking out of my some dude cup. There's Matisfaction, the Squirrel King. There's said Stevie, Pocket Metal, and Grumpy. Shout out to some dude. Probably my favorite artist out there. Really dig some dude. Anywho, back to the task at hand. Bless Knives. Donnie Bless, straight out of Omaha, Nebraska, making 100% handmade in the United States badassery. This here is Ripley #1. And I do have the card of authenticity here, showing that it is the Ripley in Magna Cut at 63 HRC. We'll talk about that a little bit more. We'll get into the details on everything. This is G10 and titanium handles with a awesome floating backspacer. And again, we'll get into everything here. Here it is for y'all folks to take a gander at whilst I ramble. I've had this for a couple of weeks now, and I've spent a fair amount of time with it, and I am ready to give my final thoughts on it. So I first met Donnie Bless Knives at Blade Show West 2022. That was his very first Blade Show. He had a couple of prototypes on the table, and I really dug his stuff then. And seeing how far he's come in the last year and a half, I gotta say, he was good then, even better now. And the Ripley is no exception whatsoever. He did send some. He's something not a lot of knife makers do. They sent along he sent along a fact sheet. So let's go over all this here. So one thing I really want to highlight, and I've tried to talk about it as much as possible because I think it's amazing. First sentence there, no mill or CNC work. I'm a one-man shop and I do all my work by hand. I also perform all heat treating in-house. So when we say this is 100% handmade, it is. Outside of the hardware, which he hopes to start making his hardware as well, doing everything by hand. This is the only model that he has to sell publicly as of right now. He's still dialing it in, but this is officially Ripley #1. This is a frame lock folder with a overall length of 9.5 inches. It's bigger than a lot of knives out there. It is. It's a big one. You have a closed length of 5.5, and the blade from finger choil to tip is 4.75 inches with a 4-inch cutting edge. CPM Magna Cut, heat treated in-house at 63 HRC. I don't think most people are going to be upset with that. That's a nice heat treat that he's getting on there. And he is calling this an upswept Warncliffe. You can see it's got a nice fine tip on there. This is a two-tone acid stone washed flats with a 320 grit belt satin bevel on there. You have large jimping, which I really like. We'll talk about that when we get into the ergos. And a hollow ground swedge there. You have some small jimping on the flipper tab. And then some internals that we can't see, polished pivot hole and detent track. So I don't know if my camera will pick it up, but I noticed this. Let's see, will it? Will it actually? There is a detent ramp on this. You can see when it engages with the pivot. Yeah, my camera's not going to pick it up there, but there is a detent ramp there. Polished pivot hole and detent track. Convex edge, 400 grit, followed by black, white, and green compound. 3/16 inch pivot, polished. The show side here is black G10 with a safety stripe finish, which I'm really digging how that G10 turned out there. You don't feel any texturing to it. It is smooth, but yeah, you show it off in the light there, and it really starts to pop. The titanium lock side is aluminum oxide blasted and stonewashed. And then it's been polished on the washer interface. This is a titanium hand sculpted clip, excuse me, that had also been aluminum oxide blasted and stonewashed. The underside of the contact point is polished for a smooth action on fabric, meaning this goes in and out of pocket really well. The underside of this is all polished, and I've had zero problems putting this in and out of pocket. The back spacer, this thing is pretty cool. It is orange and black G10, and it's technically a floating back spacer where you can see the gaps in there. And that is on dual pin and floats on hand shaped 0.008 inch titanium washers. The stop pin has been acid washed and polished as well for aesthetics consistency. Right now he's using tie connector hardware. Tie connector is who a lot of makers who don't make their own hardware are using. Tie Connector is a company out of Montana. I've bought plenty of stuff from them. The lock bar has been carbonized. The detent is ceramic and flattened. This is running on polished phosphor bronze washers, and it says it's got a hard break detent ramp. The detent on this is extremely snappy. Let me put this away. Hopefully it doesn't blow away. Apparently I got a helicopter coming in overhead. Sorry about that, folks. They gone. But yeah, the detent on this is very snappy. So let's just get into the ergos and everything on this here. So flipper and thumb studs for deployment. He didn't include, did he say anything about the thumb studs on here? He did not put anything on the thumb studs. But these are also, these have been blackened, hand sculpted as well. And so flipper tab with a good jimping and thumb studs for deployment. And I gotta say the detent is dialed in for both. Snaps open, no problem there. And the thumb stud, no problem to fire it out with your thumb. You can middle finger flick it. If you're lefty and you want to deploy this knife, no problems there either. One hand deployment with both hands, even though this is a right hand tip up carry only, non-reversible. I suppose if you wanted a lefty version of this, yeah, you might have to get in touch with Donnie and get on his books for that. But yeah, the detent is perfect. I even used this with a gloved hand. I was going to go grab my gloves, but I decided not to. No need to. You can take my word for it. I think the detent is perfect. I have not failed the detent once. This is definitely a knife that if you want to try to fail the detent, you're going to have to try to fail the detent. So, sure, if you go really lazy with it, you can, but I've not once failed it. So, I think he did a great job with setting the detent. He's calling it a medium detent, and I think the detent has been dialed in perfectly. Ergos wise, so a lot of people have already commented, and this is just a preference thing, I think. A lot of people don't like skinny handled knives. I don't mind a skinny handled knife when they're done well. And this one with Ergos is no exception. I brought out a couple that came to mind also that have skinny handles that other people have complained about that I don't have a problem with. The Civivi Hadros, this is a Dylan Mallory design, has a very thin handle, very comfortable in hand. I got no problem with it. And then my Todd Knife and Tool designed Best Tech Malware. Again, very skinny handle, comfortable in hand. I think I prefer a thicker handle, but when done well, a nice skinny handle doesn't bother me at all. And ergos wise, again, this is a very big knife. What was it, like a 5.75 inch closed? You can see I get a full grip on here, absolutely no problem. And then if I want to choke up, no problem at all. So you get a really good purchase on this knife on the handle, and it's very comfortable in hand. You got a little bit of a thumb ramp here, and so I should also explain I got double XL mitts, very large hands. So, for you larger handed folks, this is going to be very comfortable. For you smaller handed, dainty handed folks, someone like Gons who's got little baby hands, this is going to feel extremely massive in your hands. But, yeah, ergos are money. I really like the jimping on the spine here. I'm a big fan of aggressive jimping. And the jimping that is on the flipper tab has been done really well. No problems whatsoever. You got a little bit of a cutout here for the lock bar. People always seem to say you need more and more access to the lock bar, and usually I do agree. I'm willing to bet some people might say that this needs more, but 2 weeks of carrying this, I've had zero problems disengaging the lock, even with a gloved hand. Yesterday, so I spent about 2 weeks with this in and out of pocket. Not hard using this by any means, just because it's not my knife. It's a custom knife. It's going to be going around. Did not put this to a lot of tasks, but been in and out of pocket quite a bit. Spent a couple of weeks with it, and then I went driving around for a little over an hour and a half and really kind of dialed in my thoughts. Really, messed with it a lot while I was driving with the gloved hand to, really kind of hone in my thoughts on it. That's kind of my process when I am going to do a full review of a knife. And again, with or without a gloved hand, I've had zero problems disengaging the lock. And so I got no problem with the access to the lock bar. And you got zero lock stick whatsoever on this. It almost feels like it's not touching the blade. You got zero resistance on there when you go to disengage. And he said it's been carbonized. But yeah, lockup is solid. I'm not going to beat on this knife by any means, but this is not hashtag funk wonky. Shout out to One Moon. There's no wonkiness here at all. This has solid lockup. And yeah. So you see, you got all T8, I believe that's T10 on the pivot. Obviously, I've not taken this apart, so I'm not sure. Oh, what I did do is simply check the pivot to see like kind of where it was at on the tightness, because there is what no blade play whatsoever on this. It hasn't developed any blade play whatsoever. It does feel like the pivot could be tightened a little bit. And again, I have not done that. I've literally done nothing to this. This is how it showed up, and it showed up in great condition. Action wise, running on washers, and I'm becoming a big fan of washer knives as of late. And a knife running on phosphor bronze washers done right. I know a lot of you want to, be super fidgety, and you're not going to always get that out of a washer knife, but this thing wants to drop and then a little shake and it's shut. It's the action. If you're wanting to know about the action is solid, 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 solid on this. If I gave one little critique on this, and look, you want to give some critiques to a designer, right? He doesn't want to just hear everything he's doing is perfect. He wants room to grow. Donnie wants constructive criticism. Maybe put a little bit of jimping on the lock bar. Again, I've had no problems with it, but maybe that wouldn't be a bad touch. But yeah, I got zero problems with the action. The other thing I like with the thumb studs is, although you got texture on here, you got they don't give you a problem. Sometimes thumb studs can really beat up your thumb. They can be, either they're not placed right and they're hard to access, or just the texturing of them is not always done as well. And I mean, look at the detail work. Again, all hand done here. This is, I mean, and he's got, and I'll show off his Instagram a little bit. He's got, footage of him, doing all that. But the thumb studs are placed perfectly. You get right on it. Oh yeah, look at that. Yesterday, it bit me. You'll see a short here of me that I'm going to post here in a little bit. It bit me yesterday. This thing is slicey. Real quick, how slicey is it? My mat's moving on me. I got this cigars and pipes and cigars catalog that showed up. I don't know where it came from, but I don't remember signing up for anything like this. But I mean, this is the this is very thin paper, and I did slice up because I had it in pocket. I did slice up an apple with this, and this blade is super slicey. I just literally, while I was trying to film one of the shorts, closed it and just didn't get my thumb out on time, and that's when it came down on me. Earned a badge from Randy for that. But man, I wish I had more critiques for this, because I really do think it's a great knife. I really do. And I'm really impressed that what Donnie's able to do. I mentioned Donnie's Instagram. If you're not following Donnie on Instagram, shame on you, because you should be. Let's see here. I have his Instagram pulled up here. So here is Blessed Knives, and again, it'll be linked. You can see that his books are open. So I know CPM is already contacting him to get on his books, and there's been some other people that I know that want to get in on this. But if you want to see how involved Donnie is with his process, again, follow him on Instagram, because he shows off everything. I mean, where's the one of him making his washers? Uh, I'm not going to play the volume because he's always grooving to some awesome hip hop. I don't want to get a copyright strike on this, but I mean, he really does show off everything on here. All his grinding that he's doing. Um, where is? Let's see here. All right, I lost it. But by following him on Instagram, what you're going to see is a dude that's just really dedicated to being a master craftsman. Um, he's just he really pays attention to detail, um, and it really shows in his work. Everything about this knife, again, being 100% hand done, using no mills or CNC work. There's no rough edges on this knife whatsoever. Whatsoever. Everything is done really well. I mean, you don't have any roughness to the edges. All the transitions that you have in here are good. Everything is nice and chamfered down. Zero rough spots whatsoever. Whatsoever. Everything feels really good in hand. It's not overly slick, but it does have a very smooth texture to everything. And again, also going back to the blade, doing the heat treat all himself. To 63 HRC, man. I'm a fan. I really am a fan. I was a fan just by getting to know the dude. Had him on a live stream also, and he's been on with Blade Cartel since then. He's been on with Sharif. He's mixing it up in the community and really getting his name out there. Similar to someone like Scott Stills over at Edgy Blade Works. Outside of making badass knives, they're cool dudes also. And have plenty of talk to these folks about outside of just knife making. But I think Donnie really is dedicated to the craft and getting better. And he's got another couple models out. Let's see, he's got the Vapor also. He's already sold one Vapor, and I think he's working on making another. But here's the Vapor. This thing is gnarly. I really like this one. But yeah, you can see his, design language from the Ripley kind of translates over to there. Big sci-fi fan. Obviously, the Ripley name comes from Alien. Shout out Sigourney Weaver, and who directed Alien and Aliens? Ridley Scott, is that who that is? Uh, a big xenomorph type fan. But yeah, there are some little preferences here that if, they're not critiques. Look, you don't go to a painter and say, well, if I would have painted this, I would have done this. Or you don't go to a musician and go, well, if I would have wrote the song, I'd do this. There's, little things here and there. Like, preference wise, I'd like to see the blade reversed. I'd like to see an etched grind with satin flats. I think that would look dope. Perhaps making this into a liner lock so you could have matching scales. Little things like that. But I mean, I would take this as is. Or if not if, when I do finally get on his books, those are some things that I'll discuss with him and see. But I guess the other elephant in the room is, how much does something like this cost? Well, a lot of people are going to gasp, what? Never in a million years. He's selling this for $850. Yeah. And I think for what you're getting, you are getting a good price. Maybe he doesn't have the big name like a lot of the other custom makers in the industry. They're charging the same and they're selling them for the same. And I have no gripes with that. And in all honesty, I would rather own You got all sorts of $200+ knives out there. Like the best tech exploit here. I'd rather own one of these than four of those type knives. Uh, and that's the truth, and that's how I my collection is going. I am gravitating towards the customs from the badass smaller knife makers in the industry. And Donnie Bless definitely is in the running, in my opinion, for breakout knife maker of the year. I really want to see him get his name out there. And the path of travel, you're going to start seeing from the pass around on this, you're going to start seeing this on a lot more channels. And I think that's awesome for him to get his name out there. But yeah, if you're not into customs and you're not into big knives, the Ripley probably isn't going to be for you. But yeah, how big is it compared to some other big knives? Well, here it is against the Harsey, the Spartan Harsey folder, which is a big knife on its own. You can see it's in every dimension. It's bigger than that. Here it is against a pair of three. So it is considerably bigger. So this knife is not going to appeal to everybody out there, but I know it's going to appeal to a lot of folks. And whether this is something you plan on getting in on with Donnie or not, I still think supporting a awesome up and coming U.S. maker is absolutely something we should all be trying to do. Even if that's not something that is in the cards for your collection, or you're just not into custom knives. I still think that everything that Donnie's doing deserves our attention in the community. I mean, everything is just so clean, you know, perfect, perfect angles on this. Absolutely, two right angles or a right angle there. Uh, I mean, until you get something like this in hand, you can't really appreciate it. This has similar to I've said with Edgy Blade Works and Scott Stills. I don't have my tipper or my P&W handy to show off, but these are custom knives that feel production quality. And you will, when you start messing with customs, there can be a big difference in feel between a custom and a production knife. And sometimes you handle a custom knife and you're like, ugh, this is not what I'm used to, because they're a little bit rough around the edges. There's no rough around the edges here. Everything on this knife is perfect. It's really good. So, nice grind line, vertical, I guess kind of angular more than vertical grind lines on there. I think he said it's a 320 grit. So if you're into the belt satin type lines there. He did mention that the plunge grind is off slightly. To my eye, I'm not picking it up, but he did mention that in the sheet. He said it's something that he's addressed. I think he said it's like zero point 0.1 or 0.01, 0.02 millimeters off on the plunge grind there. So I guess I take back that statement. Everything's perfect. I mean, I'm not going to pick up a 0.01 millimeter plunge grind being off. In my opinion, this is coming out just fine. But again, he points out his own perfections or imperfections, and he's trying to work on stuff. So I really don't know what else to say about this other than I really do give it 2 thumbs up of approval. For what it's worth to you folks, I will be getting on Donnie's books, and he's someone that I will continue to stay in touch with. Really starting to consider him a good homie at this point. He's already seen these, so it's no longer a surprise. But as a little shout out to him, I got with my homie over at the EDC Roundtable, Forrest Hanks, and I even had I put one of his stickers in here too, didn't I? I did. Um, uh, I had a couple of hanks made up for him, just to say, I guess thanks to him for being a cool dude. These aren't for sale. Forrest doesn't have these for sale. These were custom orders that I'm sending to Donnie. But I thought the orange would, kind of go, with his aesthetic there. So Forrest did a great job on these, and I know Donnie has already seen these and was really stoked on them. So there you go, folks. Shout out to Forrest Hanks for coming through on the clutch with the Blessed Knives hankies. So be on the lookout for more from Blessed Knives for sure. I think that, again, getting to know him, you guys are going to like his vibe. He just seems to be a really cool dude. And yeah, is gelling well, I think, with the community. I think a lot of people have already gotten to know him a little bit. He's hung out in late night with said faction quite a few times. He's been in the different lives. Again, I know he's mixing it up with Blade Cartel, Duties, Daggers, and Knife Dope. And I know he's really good friends with Knife Modders. Shout out to Lindy Lou and Richie. He mixes it up with Sharif. I know he's gotten to know Scott Stills. And so all the people who I dig in the industry, are digging on Donnie as well, and I think that's a good sign. So, again, everything for Donnie and Blessed Knives will be linked in the description. Let me know what you guys think. But definitely go check out Donnie. If you're on Instagram, give him a follow. And give him a shout out on some of his videos. Give him some good words of encouragement, because that's always makers like to get feedback. And if you have any feedback for him, let him know. Or maybe there's some designs that you'd like to see him maybe work on. I don't know, but again, support a nice, awesome dude, just grinding it out there in his shop in Omaha, Nebraska, and really killing it, in my opinion. So that's all I got for you folks. I appreciate you tuning in. That's all I got. So until the next one, if you haven't done so already, obligatory, please subscribe right there. And then I don't know what that video will be, but you can check that out as well. And until the next one, I bid you mofos, deuces. Bye-bye.